Hey, what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be going through another lesson. We have Mr. Manny Ramirez, 310. And also we have joined with us, we have Mr. Sushi PayPay.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Sushi? All right. So, Manny actually was asking, he was having trouble with a graveyard deck. So I wanted to go on ahead and just kind of start off and show a basic counter to the graveyard with the executioner, and then I will also go through one. Let me see here. With I have the executioner ready.
Okay.
Just go
I'll
ahead,
put you right now.
put it on the other side.
Okay.
So he actually hits like one tile behind, and this is the actual perfect placement. Obviously, there's no tank going on here, so that's not going to really be able to show it. But as you guys can see, it just counters it completely. So that's just the angle you want to put it. As you can see, my hard grinder is right here. Also, if you want to just counter it, because Sushi runs a 2.6 deck, the perfect placement for this is to put the ice golem right here. Don't drop the thing yet. And then then you're gonna want to put the skeletons right here. And then if you need to, you can go on ahead and put down a log or a zap if you're still running zap, and you're gonna be able to handle that. So just whenever you're ready, we're going ahead and shoot out that last graveyard, and then we'll jump into the gameplays and we'll get into the reviews. While we're talking and waiting on your graveyard, Sushi, I wanted to know, how'd you get your name? I mean, are you just always trying to get free sushi, or what's up?
Yes, sir. I've been grinding grand challenges just so I can get more sushis from my restaurants every day. Do you like sushi, Final Boss?
I love sushi. All right, so
I'm glad to hear that.
as you guys can see there, I took 200 damage just with an ice golem and the skellies. Now we did have the assist from the tower, and but if you needed to, if it kind of bulks up or the ice golem gets away from it, Sushi kind of played that a little bit further back, which is not actually it, but you guys kind of get the idea. And if everything kind of gets in a weird situation, you could go on ahead and log it. So let me go on ahead and get out of this one. Oh, if you guys don't know how to pig push, this is very easy right here. Just to go on ahead and drop the ice spirit down, and that's going to pig push past. Like if somebody has a cannon placement, I can't go on that side, but if you had the cannon on this side, or you'd be able to pig push past it, or furnace is what you're seeing most of these days anyway. So let's fast forward into the future here. Alright guys, we're back into the future now. Thanks for bearing with us. So me and Sushi were looking over his cards, and let's go on ahead and just take a look at him. He's got level 12 archers, and that's like way higher than your musketeer. So definitely recommend you using those level 12 archers over a musketeer. Musketeer get fireballed, and the archers could get fireballed as well. But we're talking 3 versus 4. But we also got another little trick up our sleeve that we're going to talk about as well. You got a level 4 tornado. That's pretty cool. And a level 3 lightning would be cool as well. A level 4 would be, but I mean, you're one away, and you're almost at tourney standard there. So definitely use your fireball. So what else we're gonna put in there, Sush?
Yeah, so like we were talking about, so if he had a level 4 lightning, we would actually probably recommend that he would use it on ladders, since the lightning can deal with all the really heavy troops, the more tanky troops that the fireball usually would need a closer interaction in order to take out. But since he still only has a level 3 lightning, I think it would be best to go with the fireball in this situation, since his fireball is at tournament standard, which scales higher than the current level of his lightning. And in terms of the 2 elixir spells, we were debating whether we should put in a zap or a log, but ultimately we thought that the log is going to be a better idea, just in regards to the zap nerf. We feel like because he has a level 2 log, it would be smarter, since the main thing the zap is going to help you with is dealing with Skarmy, but the ice golem isn't going to kill the Skarmy anyway, usually, since you'll probably be dealing with a lot of higher level Skarmies. So it's better for him to go with the log so he can deal with other pushes like goblin barrels more easily.
Absolutely, man. Ice Golem is just such great value for 2, and you know what? You can always sit there and distract with everything else. So I think also we were looking at your Mega Minion. It's a level 7, but you have level 10 minions. we're thinking that the level 10 minions is going to be the way to go too, because then they're going to have to respond to the archers. And since your tombstone is a level 8, we've looked at all your defensive buildings. Cannon's almost at 11, so if you got your cannon to level 11, you go on ahead and use that, or tombstone. You could just kind of interchange them out, see what works for you. But that's going to be something that they're going to have to respond to as well. So that's just another card they're going to have to deal with. So if they're going to log that or arrow anything, you can kind of do that with the minions and the tombstone, just kind of giving an extra element to have to deal with the cheap troops that are really nice. So, but a hog and minion push is awesome, and then this thing is just, the tombstone is just incredible. It's really good, especially if they don't have a log. But I feel like anybody and everybody that's got a log these days is running that thing. So, so me and Sushi, okay. So we got hog, ice golem, archers, minions, tombstone. Tombstone,
archers. Did you say?
Yeah.
And then we got fireball bug.
We got fireball and log, and I think we're missing one card. We got hog, ice golem, archers, minions, log, fireball. All right, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm gonna make the deck, and we'll see it here in just 1 second. All right. All right, guys. So we couldn't figure out all the cards. We couldn't remember all 8 of them. I'm sure you guys are gonna be like, "You're missing like everything." So this is a deck that we came up with because we were thinking about this, but the skeletons are always not a sure thing on the pig push. The ice spirit and the hog combination is just that it's the best pig push in the game. So I think this is a really, really solid deck. I think it would work really well for you. I could definitely see with your card levels. I bet you could get close to around 4,300 trophies. Pretty easy, and I'll help you out, or you could probably hit up Sushi too as well. He'd probably be nice enough to follow you back to give you a few extra tips. So with that being said, let's go on ahead and look at your hog play. I know that I told you to use the strength of your cards, and I think your barbarians were pretty high up, so that's not a bad call, especially in your level. It's going to be able to deal with everything you're going to need to be able to deal with, especially the Royal Giant, Ice Spirit and Royal Giant, and you're going to be able to just fast cycle on there. So yeah, I don't even know why I'm looking at my replays that I've sent to him. Sorry, you guys. All right, Manny, stop winning so much. We need to be able to take a look at your losses. All right.
Yeah, that's all.
Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. We have not even had a good look at this replays yet, so it's just going to be kind of fresh. So maybe we'll just we'll take a look at it, and then we'll just kind of do a recap at the end if we didn't get something right. So he's actually on top here. He's from the Hood Popes, man.
Okay, so I think that pre-log at the beginning was mildly aggressive, considering Manny didn't know what his opponent was running, right? So if his opponent had dropped something like minions in that situation, he would have practically thrown 2 elixir without gaining anything from that. So you don't want to be making like prediction plays like that so early in the game until you know your opponent's card rotation and what they're actually using to counter your cards.
I have no problems with just in and out of hog too when you're on max elixir and you don't want to sit around and just wait. So just kind of seeing how they're going to respond. Whoa, did he just lightning?
Yeah, I think he may have missed that lightning there, yeah. So I think his goal there was to possibly hit the Valkyrie and the Musketeer as well, but he played it a bit late. So yeah, that's just something, it just comes down to your reaction time and your ability to place the card fast enough. So yeah, obviously that wasn't the most desirable play in that situation. But we see a good executioner coming down from him. It's going to try to clean up the goblins and the baby dragon, but the opponent throws down a fireball to take the tower anyway.
Yeah, I think Rudy, you really messed up and got yourself in a pinch. He's probably that lightning might have been out of a little bit of frustration. He might have been broke. I'd have to go back and look at it, but he could have been broke and just kind of frustrated that he took all that damage and kind of had a little misplay there.
Yeah, so especially when you're down in tower damage, you don't want to be making such aggressive plays because you want to really be focusing on regaining your elixir advantage in order to maybe make a counter push in the future. Other than that, there's no way you're going to be coming back in a game if you're already down tower damage. We see good lightning coming down from Manny. He hits all 3 targets, and that does negate a significant amount of tower damage on his king tower.
So this deck is really just kind of a defensive deck too, Manny. This was just like, you know, the hog is your win condition, obviously, but you got to learn to relax. And you know what? I say that like it's so easy to do because sometimes we just get into a zone where, you know, you either go into a panic mode or you made a mistake or something like that. But you just kind of like, especially in the first, you know, until double elixir time, you just want to see what kind of cards they have and just be more responsive to what they are doing versus you trying to just take down the tower to first push.
So I agree with Final Boss there that, your main problem was probably playing too aggressively at the gate, so you were down elixir early on, and your opponent was able to snowball that into a lot of tower damage, which in turn may have frustrated you with that lightning there and may have caused you to play even more aggressively. So you want to just take a step back and you want to evaluate what your opponent's playing and try to make positive elixir trades on defense in order to turn that into a counter push for you later in the game.
Sushi PayPay is also OJ's twin brother, so you're going to hear that positive elixir trade. All right.
Yes, sir.
So this guy just went all ham as soon as he saw that execution. He's like, okay, here we go. Man, I tell you what, barbarians are... I did actually a little video on that. I was like, barbarians are like the best counter for elite barbs. And, you know, people in that 4,000 range are still using elite barbarians just because people in the top 200 aren't, because they're commons and they're really easy to level up. And they're still very, very good.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar situation to the Royal Giant, how that ended up, is because you don't see a lot of Royal Giants at the top of ladder, but as you can see, Manny's opponent right now has both the Royal Giant and the E-Barbs. It just goes to show when there's such strong common cards in the game, they're going to be probably used a lot more near the bottom of ladder or mid-tier ladder because people can over-level them so easily.
Exactly. So if I see a level 12 in the top of the leaderboards, or like if I see him up there, I'm already thinking Royal Giant and Elite Barbarians or Expo.
Yeah, Expo is a good way to get us there too. So let's go back to the gameplay. So Manny unfortunately missed one of the elite bars of his barbarians there. So was this a loss? Did you see Final Boss? Was this a loss by Manny?
Yeah, it was a loss, I do believe. What I think I saw there, I think the reason why he didn't drop the barbs on them is because of the fire spirit. But I saw he did have log. He had log queued up, so he could have logged those away, or he could have just dropped the barbarians on top of the elite barbarians. That's what I would have done. Even fire spirits or not, I would have just went on ahead and just dropped them on there and countered them, because they're still going to have to, do their swings, and then you could have logged everything back later if you needed to. That's what I would have done. So this deck not having.
Yeah, I agree.
This guy is a level. 11, so he does have a lot more tower damage on here. Cards look to be about the same though.
Well, so once again, Manny, so it's a lot of a similar situation as the last match. So you can see Manny's making a lot of, in my opinion, overly aggressive pushes here. Like, you don't want to be just straight up dropping an executioner and a hog at the bridge, because doing stuff like that, first of all, because your executioner is one of your primary defensive cards, you're not going to have that in the cycle next time they push. And in my opinion, something like an executioner or hog at the bridge is going to be really easy for your opponent to counter, just because they don't synergize particularly well together on offense. But so it's just a similar situation. Like, he was doing some pre-logs again when there was nothing to be pre-logged. So just keeping in mind what your opponent has in cycle and just playing more defensively and keeping your defensive cards for defense so you don't lose your tower early on in the game.
Yeah, and that's the key thing of why we're doing this, is trying to find out patterns. Whenever you lose, always go and look at your losses. And I mean, you have a consistent pattern here of being overly aggressive. But I mean, I think that's a common occurrence with everybody. Sometimes I do that as well. Executioner is definitely a defensive card. Now you can turn that into a counter push. Like, I'll put an ice golem. If he cleans up, like, on a push, I will go on ahead and drop an ice golem in front of it, and then put a hog down or something like that, because that's ideal, especially against bait decks. If that's one of their main defenses is a skeleton army or something like that. It's not a royal giant. It just kind of got to treat it as a bowler. You're never going to drop a bowler on the bridge, or at least I would never drop a bowler on the bridge unless you have a graveyard or some special occasion of why you're actually doing that.
Yeah, like Final Boss was saying, so with executioners, you typically, if you're not playing them reactively, you're going to be playing them behind your king tower. So that way, hopefully, whatever they're dropping on offense for them, your executioner is going to be able to be there and clean up. And then after they've done that, you can turn it into a counter push. So you never want to be playing defensive cards like the executioner, like the bowler, like Final Boss was saying, at the bridge aggressively. The only situation that you would have them helping you out on offense is if they manage to survive a defense that you use them for.
Hey Manny, I would like to challenge you to wait to see what the people drop first, and then for you to be reactive versus you being aggressive. I think that would probably be one of the best pieces of advice I could give you. So try to play a game that's kind of based off of all defense, because that's the deck that I was running, or I'm running right now, with the Miner, Executioner, Tornado, Cannon. I mean, it's insane. But my win condition's a Miner, Chip, and a Rocket, though. But I mean, I do get chip damage in with everything else. But it's all based off of just playing straight defense, and that's just where you kind of got to get back to. So you've made some good moves, and but on your pushes here, even on this deck, that's a great push, because you played good defense right there, and now you're pushing with the hog. Now that's what you want to do typically in every situation, not just kind of just go Leroy Jenkins, as I like to say. So.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like Final Boss was saying, what you guys just saw was a primary example of Manny using the cards that he played on defense and converting it into a counter push.
Lightning. Nope, he couldn't get through.
Well, he didn't have enough elixir for the lightning, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's probably what the main problem was in that situation, was that even though Manny was able to utilize his defensive cards in order to make a counter push, he wasn't aware of his opponent's cycle. And because of that, because the opponent had so many counters to the push he had coming in the opponent's cycle, he was able to easily shut it down. So, for example, if you know your opponent has a card like Barbarians or Minion Horde, and you have a Fireball in your hand, and you know that's all they have in cycle, maybe you could just already have the Fireball in your hand, because you know that they're going to throw that. So you could throw down that Minion Horde or that Scarmy. So based off of that, you can make these prediction plays that are often going to be even necessary, especially in a hog deck, for you to win the game.
Yeah, you don't want to just shove like 10 elixir down on a push like some of these people do, because you're trying to figure out what cards they have in their hand and what they're going to play, and then it's kind of up to you to figure out, okay, well, if he drops down a Musketeer in the back, okay, you're like, well, I'm going to put down my Mega Minion in the back or something like that, something that's slow moving, kind of let them get up there, and you're going to put your Ice Golem in front and just kind of see if you can defend against that and see what they're going to put with it. So that's what you're kind of doing. But it's all based upon what cards you have in your hand. But you really want to sit there and figure out what deck they're using and what they're having. Because all these decks I'm seeing here, there's no consistency in these decks. There's no telling in this 4,000 range what these people are going to have. I mean, I don't even know what Pekinah Poison... it was a bait deck with a wizard, it looks like this guy's playing. I wouldn't even know what this guy's playing. So if I was there, did he just drop an Ice Golem at the front of the tower?
Yeah, I think he did.
I think he did.
If you're facing some, if he's dropping something at the, like a P.E.K.K.A down at the bridge, you don't want to be playing your Ice Golem up front so far, because so obviously the P.E.K.K.A is just going to go and swing it down. And you saw Manny even log that after. The only DPS that Manny had to kill that P.E.K.K.A at the time was an Ice Wizard, which isn't very much damage at all. So I definitely wouldn't recommend like logging something back like that, because the Ice Wizard is going to only do minimal damage anyway. You want to be able to lure it into the range of your crown towers, and then you want to be able to slow it down at that point, or get extra damage on it in order to address the P.E.K.K.A appropriately.
I think the deck that we're going to make, he's going to be able to use that deck for quite a while, and he's going to be able to develop some consistency. So, this was a new deck that he was trying out. He saw, like, my video on it when he first got the Executioner. I mean, everybody's excited for a new card. But, you're going to have to... that's the thing about playing a deck hundreds of times, is that you know the ins and outs of it. So... but playing the Ice Golem, in the front right there, I play an Ice Golem in the very, very back. If I see him putting a P.E.K.K.A down, maybe then I wait a little bit for Max Elixir, and then I'll drop an Ice Wizard down in the back, and then wait for him to cross the bridge. Or if you have Barbs and a Hog in your hand, you could just go on ahead and shove the Hog down on the opposite lane. Make him spin troops, because you don't want a P.E.K.K.A and a full push right off the go to be in a situation like you were. The Barbs did save you, but you could have waited for them to, for the P.E.K.K.A to cross the bridge, then drop the Barbs on him after you've taken damage with the Hog. If he doesn't, you're going to get some kind of damage if somebody drops a P.E.K.K.A down on one side right off the bat. I mean, it's guaranteed, unless they have, like, a cannon or something in their cycle, but I just assume somebody running a P.E.K.K.A doesn't have a cannon in their deck.
Yeah, exactly. So two things that I want to expand on that final boss was talking about. So yeah, the final boss was talking about pushing down the other lane, which is something I haven't seen Manny do even once, I don't think. So yeah, if you're seeing your opponent drop something heavy in the back of their base, like a P.E.K.K.A or a Lava Hound or even a Gall, that's a red sign for you to just be like, okay, they're down Elixir, they have almost no Elixir, and I haven't dropped anything yet. So I'm at 10, they're at 2, and they have a P.E.K.K.A in the back that I'm not going to have to deal with for a while. So based off of your knowledge of that, you're going to then be able to recognize that you should be pushing the other lane, because they're not going to be able to properly address it.
Yeah, I mean, if I saw that, if I see somebody put down a Golem or a P.E.K.K.A or anything right off the go, I am dropping an Ice Golem. I'm dropping a Hog. I mean, I see the game right there. That's what I see. I see red, and I go for the throat. So I mean, definitely recommend doing that. But I think with this new deck, I think it's really going to help you out a lot, especially in the ladder play. Now, some of this other stuff, GCs are a complete different monster we're going to talk about, but I'm specifically talking about helping you guys out in ladder play in this one. But I think it doesn't matter what deck you use. A lot of the tips that we're seeing here of just chilling, relaxing, and putting together like a calculated push too. Like having a full push. Like, what do you want out of your push? What is the push that is going to win the game for you? Like Ice Golem, you want the Ice Golem in front of the Hog, or you want the Ice Spirit with the Hog to bypass his furnace or anything like that. But that's not really the problems that you're having right now. It's just it just seems like a little bit of utter chaos, and just playing a lot slower is going to help you out. Be more reactive versus being regressive. I think that's going to, and with your cards, your card levels are fine to get you well over 4,000 trophies, but just you're going to have to adjust a few of these easy things that are going to be able to get fixed. So, Sushi, I really appreciate you being on the call, my man. Do you have any kind of final words for our boy Manny?
Yeah, so something that we were kind of like echoing throughout the course of this video is the importance of consistently using one deck, like Final Boss was talking about. So if you guys, I was talking to Final Boss about this a few days ago. If you guys see you're not doing well with a certain deck, it's very well possible that that deck might not be good. But if you know, for example, if you're copying a deck off the top of the leaderboard, the chances are it's going to be a good deck, right? So if you know you're running like a very good deck and you know there's no flaws within the deck itself, don't go out of your way to try to change a card in that deck. It's smarter to stay consistent with a certain deck in order to learn the ins and outs of the deck, like Final Boss was talking about. Because if you start losing a lot of matches and you start switching up your deck, then you're just going to get less and less used to the deck you're running, because now you're dealing with more cards that you're not accustomed to in your deck, and you're just going to fall lower and lower in trophies. So my biggest tip is, stay consistent with the deck you're running. So Manny, with our deck suggestion, I hope that you take that deck and hopefully you play with the same deck until you learn all the ins and outs of it, because that truly makes you a better player.
Absolutely, and what he was talking about when we were talking about the game, I just kind of got home from the convention and stuff. There was only like 2 hours left in there, and I was doing really well. I'd pushed up into the top 100 global last day, and I probably should have quit in hindsight. Obviously, hindsight's always awesome. But I just started doubting myself, and after a loss or two. And instead of sticking with that deck, it wasn't a bad deck. It was what I'd been using to get where I was at. And then I just started changing up the deck. I think I started changing it up. I'm like, oh yeah, well maybe I should try this, or maybe, oh yeah. So I wasn't even able to develop any kind of consistency. So keeping that same deck, like Sushi was saying, is just going to be able to find that consistency, find that push that you want, and that setup that works for you. You know what I mean? But also figuring out what the cards have from the opponent is just always key to victory. Playing slow, letting them make the mistake, because most of these games not most of them, almost all these games are always lost on mistakes, not you winning the game. So you're waiting for your opponent to make a mistake, spend too much elixir, you counter that, and now you have the elixir advantage, and now your push, that the one that has worked for you and you've taken tons of towers with it, is going to be the one that you're going to be able to win the ball game with. So, Sushi, where can we find you? You want to give them your Twitter or anywhere else that you like?
Yeah, my Twitter hashtag is just SushiPayPayCR, and I accept Facebook requests based off of the amount of mutual friends I have with that person. So if you want, you can send me a Facebook request on PayPay space CR. If you have enough mutual friends, I'll just accept you, and you can watch my battles if you want, and that's that.
Wow. Do you want to give them your address or phone number so they can text you or mail you for advice as well?
Yeah, so my address is
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure you hit that sub button and follow Sushi as well. Peace out, guys.